Hi, and welcome to April's edition of Northern BC News for real estate investors. We're just fresh back from Fort St. John and Dawson Creek again here this last weekend. Still a lot of activity happening up in the region. That's why it became named again this month the best place to work in BC, and not just outside of the Lower Mainland, but in all of BC. And outside of the Lower Mainland, Fort St. John and Dawson Creek ranked number 1 and 2 for best places to work. So very active up there and looking very good in the region. One piece of news that I really liked, not specific to Northeast BC this month, but it's just great for all investors, I believe, is that the TFSA limits have been increased from $5,500 to $10,000. And what a lot of people don't know is that this $10,000 is actually retroactive starting here in 2015. So what that means is if you were 18 or older when the TFSAs first came into play and you haven't made a contribution yet, that means you have $41,000 that you can contribute into a TFSA, and that will continue to grow at $10,000 per year moving forward. So some excellent opportunities to use those TFSA dollars. We have two opportunities, specifically investing in real estate in Northeast BC or in Arizona. So if you have any questions about those, feel free to ask. Like I said, lots of activity still going on in the Northeast. We're going to talk quite a bit again about natural gas here. A lot of people ask why I talk so much about LNG. Well, in the Northeast, there's lots of stuff going on: forestry, mining, agriculture, lots of different cylinders that are firing up there. But one of the big growth stories is going to be the growth in natural gas. So that's why we talk about it so much. And there's going to be, of course, some ups and downs in the natural gas business, but overall, the trend looks very good as demand for BC's natural gas continues to grow. This month there was an article coming out from China that they have decided to close down all of their major coal plants. And coal produces a huge amount of electricity in China, and of course they're going to need to replace this. And the primary means of replacing it's going to be through natural gas power plants. And I believe some of that natural gas will come from Northeast BC. So one of the other questions I always get from investors is, so Justin, the LNG plants, aren't they on BC's coast? Yes, they are on BC's coast. They're mostly Kitimat and Prince Rupert. But for those that have come on our trips, they know that for every dollar that's invested in an LNG plant in the Northwest, there's $7 to invest in drilling and infrastructure to get the gas out of the ground in the Northeast, because the Northeast is actually where the gas sits. So there's a lot of drilling activity happening right now, and of course, as LNG plants get announced, that drilling activity is really going to surge. And there was a great article on that this month. So then the next question I often get is, Justin, are any of these LNG plants going to go through? And my answer is yes. I believe some of them will go through, and that's what you'll see the majority of analysts saying as well. One of my favorite things that I see in news articles, and pay attention to it when you're reading about any article on LNG plants, they say 19 LNG plants are proposed, but most experts agree only a handful of the 19 will go through. And it always kind of makes me chuckle, because if even 1, 2, 3, it doesn't matter. If a handful of these plants go through, it is just enormous, the amount of job creation that's gonna come from those LNG plants announcements. So I believe we actually have some very good announcements here coming shortly. So number 1, don't need a handful to come through. Number 2, contrary to what a lot of people believe, the low energy prices right now are actually improving economics for some of these LNG plants. There's a great article this month on Petronas's plant saying that it's actually been a very good thing for them to lower their costs for their plant. So very positive outlook on the north. It hasn't slowed down like a lot of the other oil-specific communities in northern Alberta. So a very good place to have some money, I still believe. Another huge piece of news this month was the merger of Shell and British Gas Group. These are two massive oil and gas companies. It was a $70 billion takeover. And Shell has purchased BG, and BG, the British Gas Group, has always had a specialization in LNG. So Shell just grabbed a lot of expertise around LNG, and there's a number of articles that came out about what this might mean to the two proposed LNG plants that were on BC's coast, because both BG had an LNG and Shell had LNG plants announced on the coast. So how I see this playing out here is I personally don't believe both of them will go through. I believe one of them still will go through. My personal opinion is that it actually improves the economics for Shell's plant in Kitimat. And now with BG's expertise and with their relationships when they go to sell the gas in Asia, I believe is actually a very big plus for at least one of those two plants going through, and I believe it will be Shell here in the next year or so. Next is the Pacific Northwest LNG plant that's moved significantly forward again here in the last little bit. This is the one that's spearheaded by Petronas, the Malaysian state-owned energy company. A couple things. Number one, the mainline pipeline, the main pipeline project that's going to be supplying this plant just received a recommendation from Canada's National Energy Board to have approval to have this project move forward. This is a 42-inch pipeline, so if you stick your two arms, I'm a pretty short dude, so if I stick my two arms all the way out here, that's about how big the pipeline is going to be. Very, very good sized pipeline that's going to need to be filled with gas day in, day out. They expect it to create about 2,000 to 2,500 jobs, and this was considered one of the key pieces missing for Petronas to make a final investment decision. So they're down really to the wire on the information they need to make that final investment decision. Second of all, this month I'd already mentioned before about the improving economics for the project. That's a step forward. And then number three, one of their partners in the project is JAPEX. JAPEX owns about a 10% stake in the project. They received a guarantee from the Japanese government that they will be able to get loans to move forward on the project. So it's great to see the Japanese government get involved as well to give loans to JAPEX so that they can go and do the work in Northeast BC, because it shows how bad the country wants and needs what we have. Also, because of everything that's been happening, Rich Coleman went to Malaysia. There's a new CEO of Petronas, so Rich Coleman went to talk to the new CEO and the group there, and he says he's come out even more optimistic than he's ever been about the project moving forward. So I still believe we're going to have in short order an announcement from Petronas, and really just what that will do to the region in Northeast BC for decades to come is just enormous. So great time for investors to get in before these final decisions are made. As many of you know, Site C did receive approval from the BC government to move forward. Now, there were a couple of court cases that were moving forward trying to stop this from happening. One was the Peace Valley Landowners Association, and then a court challenge from First Nations. Those both started this week, and we expect the judge doesn't have a specific timeline that he has to use in making a decision, but we expect a decision in short order, using months, definitely not years, for a final decision to be made. Bill Bennett, who's heavily involved in getting the approval for the Site C project, doesn't expect these court cases to have an impact on the Site C dam being able to start construction this summer. I personally believe it will start here in the summer as well, very late summer, sometime around the September mark. And when you see those boots on the ground, that's a lot of work that goes up into Fort St. John, especially. And I believe we'll see a pretty significant jump in rents at that time, as vacancy is already hovering around zero. And last but not least, we will be having another event on Northeast BC in Vancouver, in Burnaby, actually, to be specific, at the Grand Villa Hotel and Casino, or the Delta Hotel, as it's also known. And it will be on May 14th at 7 p.m. So if you've been to any of our events before and you can think of anybody that would benefit from the information that we give on getting people up to speed on what's happening in the north and how it can possibly benefit them, to know that, so that they can make an investment in their future, would love to have you guys out here. We just did a recent event here where we got some feedback from some of our clients that had already purchased here. I just wanted to share one of those with you because I felt pretty good about it. You'll know why in a sec. It says, we asked, were you satisfied with the completion of your purchase? Why or why not? Yes, everyone was helpful and informative. Other than writing checks, it was relatively painless. The survey then asked, how would you describe your experience regarding the purchase process of your townhome? Said, much easier than anticipated. Justin Smith guided me through the steps and was very helpful. It was an anonymous survey here, so I don't know which one of my clients said this, but thank you. Number 3, was there any additional information you'd like to provide? Said, for a first-time investor in rental property, your system and assistance is ideal. From the friendly people, trip to Fort St. John, willingness to assist, keeping us informed as to the progress, and the outside group that you have set up, it makes the process much easier to understand and to work with. I personally own multiple properties up there in the Northeast as well, and I do believe we've got an excellent system for owning and managing real estate, especially if you don't live in the Fort St. John and Dawson Creek area. So anybody that you believe may like to invest in real estate, would be great to have them out on May 14th. We'll also have another investor trip coming up in June, and I'll keep you posted on details as soon as I have those. So thank you very much, and I look forward to chatting with you again next month, and hopefully on May 14th. Thanks.